Both sides just claimed victory in one of the most consequential military clashes of the decade. But while the press conferences were still running, oil crossed $100 a barrel. Tankers were rerouting around Africa. Insurance premiums tripled overnight. So here is the real question the title already asked. What actually happens to global oil when the US and Iran go to war and both walk away saying they won? The answer is not in the battlefield reports. It is in the economics underneath them. And it is worse than most people realize. The sequence was compact and brutal. Coordinated strikes beginning around February 28th, labeled in some accounts as Epic Fury or Lion's Roar, hit Iranian military facilities and command nodes. Through March, the campaign expanded to air defenses, naval assets, and senior IRGC commanders. Tehran responded with ballistic missiles and drone swarms targeting U.S. positions, Israeli infrastructure, and energy facilities across the Gulf. Then came the move that changed everything: the Strait of Hormuz, the 50-mile choke point carrying roughly a fifth of the world's seaborne oil, was effectively shut down. Some reports cite disruptions lasting close to 40 days before a Pakistan-mediated ceasefire brought talks to Islamabad. That timeline is the key to everything that follows. U.S. and allied forces achieved early air and sea control. Iranian air defenses were struck. High-value platforms degraded. But the Iranian command structure never collapsed. Decentralized IRGC units kept operating. And here is the part that matters most economically. They didn't need to win the air war. They needed to make it expensive. That distinction is the hinge between military outcome and market consequence. Iran's playbook was volume and disruption. Hundreds of drones, waves of ballistic missiles, swarm attacks designed not to destroy, but to saturate and exhaust. Ports interrupted, refineries damaged, Hormuz restricted. A few flagged vessels reportedly kept moving under specific arrangements. But the practical effect was the same. A major share of Gulf oil and gas could not move freely for weeks. That is a supply shock arriving in a market that already had almost no buffer to absorb one. The economics travel through 4 channels, and each one amplifies the last. Physical supply disappears when terminals close. Freight costs spike when tankers reroute around Africa, adding weeks and fuel to every voyage. Insurance premiums triple in contested waters and get passed down the chain to refiners, shippers, and ultimately consumers. Then speculation arrives. Traders price in fear before the damage is even confirmed, turning a real shortage into a financial one simultaneously. All 4 channels fired at once. Oil crossed $100 in days. Now, look at what Iran spent to do that. Drones reportedly costing tens of thousands of dollars, forced interceptors costing millions per shot, hundreds of launches. The math is devastating. Defense officials across the region confirmed significant depletion of interceptor stockpiles. Replenishment is now a top budget line from Riyadh to Tel Aviv. Iran did not need air superiority. It needed the other side to run out of expensive answers to cheap questions. And that is exactly what happened. So who actually won? Gulf states took direct infrastructure damage, accelerated defense spending, and lost export revenue at the same time. The U.S. and Israel can point to real tactical achievements. Degraded Iranian conventional capabilities, command nodes struck. Iran kept its leadership intact, demonstrated asymmetric reach across the entire region, and forced a ceasefire by making the war too costly to continue. Both claims are defensible. Both are incomplete. The entity that absorbed the most consistent damage across all 40 days was not a military. It was the global oil market, and through it, everyone who pays an energy bill. Three scenarios are now on the table. Best case, ceasefire holds. Hormuz reopens fully, reserve releases, and OPEC Plus fill the gap. Prices normalize over months. Base case, and the most likely, frozen conflict. Periodic strikes, occasional shipping harassment, episodic price spikes. Not war, never fully peace. A permanent Gulf risk premium embedded into every cargo. Worst case, the ceasefire breaks. Terminals close again, attacks on shipping resume, and high oil prices begin feeding inflation across every energy-importing economy simultaneously. That scenario does not require a new military campaign. It only requires one strike on the wrong terminal at the wrong moment. 5 signals will tell you which scenario is actually unfolding, before the official statements do. Daily Hormuz transit status. Any restriction is the first warning. Strategic Petroleum Reserve announcements. Coordinated releases can blunt a spike, but they are finite. OPEC Plus production decisions, spare capacity, and the willingness to deploy it determines the medium-term picture entirely. Maritime insurance and freight rates. These do not lie. If they stay elevated, the market does not believe the danger passed regardless of what officials say. And import behavior from China and India. If the two largest buyers are rerouting or signing new long-term deals with non-Gulf suppliers, the price premium has already become structural. Policy tools exist, but their limits are real. Spare capacity takes weeks or months to activate. African rerouting is not temporary. It is a new cost floor until Hormuz is credibly safe, and insurers believe it will stay that way. New interceptor systems are being ordered across the region, but procurement runs in years. The bills will crowd out other spending in budgets already stretched. This does not resolve quickly. Near-term, structured volatility. Price spikes on bad news, partial recoveries on diplomatic signals or reserve releases. Medium-term, maritime insurance may quietly reprice Gulf transit risk as a permanent baseline, not a crisis premium, a structural one. That changes the cost of moving oil globally, forever, regardless of what happens militarily. Long-term, accelerated investment in alternative routes, new logistics infrastructure, and a rebalancing of energy trade relationships that this conflict just dramatically fast-forwarded. One thing most coverage is missing entirely. The global energy system was not designed for conflict. It was designed for efficiency. Decades of optimization stripped out redundancy, concentrated choke points, extended supply chains. That architecture is extraordinary in peacetime. It is catastrophic under pressure. A single damaged terminal in the Gulf ripples through refining margins in Rotterdam, shipping schedules in Singapore, and commodity financing in London within days. The system's greatest strength and its greatest fragility are the same thing. Both sides claimed victory. The record supports parts of both claims. But the most honest verdict, the one priced in real time by futures markets, insurance desks, and defense procurement offices, is that 40 days of conflict transferred enormous cost onto the global economy, left the underlying tensions fully intact, and handed every state actor in the world a live demonstration of how to use energy infrastructure as a weapon. The next escalation, if it comes, starts from higher insurance rates, thinner interceptor stockpiles, and a market already primed to panic faster than it did the first time. Watch the Strait. Watch the insurance rates. Watch where China and India are buying their oil. Those 3 numbers will tell you more than any press conference. Tell us in the comments which scenario you think plays out, and share this with anyone tracking energy or regional security. Subscribe if you want the next breakdown before the headlines catch up.